If Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today, he would not be an author. He would not be chasing likes, shares, or followers. He would not post threads or argue in comment sections. Instead, he would move silently through power structures. He would act in ways invisible to the masses but unavoidable to the elite. In a society addicted to constant exposure, he would win by cultivating absence. That is the modern doctrine of Machiavelli. Not words written for display, but strategies designed for control. Not wisdom dressed as philosophy, but laws forged in manipulation. This is not history. This is application. 21 psychological rules for total dominance, built for the world we live in now. Let us begin. Rule 1. Always let them underestimate you. The most dangerous man in the room is never the loudest. It is the one who listens while others reveal their plans. Today, most people fight to prove their intelligence. They flaunt credentials, argue for recognition, and demand respect. But Machiavelli would walk in quiet. He would observe before speaking. He would deliver words when no one expected them, and those words would cut through the noise like steel. Power concealed is power protected. When they believe you are weak, they expose their strengths. When they assume you are harmless, they lower their defenses. And in that moment, you strike. Silence is not weakness. It is preparation. Underestimation is not insult. It is opportunity. Let them think you are small, and you will grow in the shadows until your move cannot be stopped. Rule 2. Charm is more dangerous than truth. In our time, perception is stronger than reality. Truth rarely spreads, but appearance travels at lightning speed. Machiavelli knew that people judge by what they see, not by what is. So he would not spend his days proving integrity. He would spend them crafting illusion. He would smile with rivals while plotting their collapse. He would wear the mask of goodness while working with ruthless precision. The art is not to be good. It is to be believed as good. You do not need honesty. You need persuasion. You do not correct perception. You exploit it. Let them call you the hero, while you rewrite the ending. Rule 3. Create ambiguity on purpose. Most people crave to be understood. Machiavelli would embrace confusion. He would act warm one day and cold the next. Silent in one meeting, explosive in another. Not because he was lost, but because others must be. Confusion breeds obsession. Obsession breeds focus. Focus breeds control. When they cannot define you, they study you. They analyze your words. They dissect your silences. You become more than a man. You become a puzzle. And puzzles demand solving. People chase what they cannot fully grasp. Give them 90% of yourself. Then stop. They will spend years chasing the final 10. Rule 4. Control what they see. Hide what you do. In today's world, everyone is documenting progress. They post achievements, share updates, and announce every move. But exposure invites counterattacks. Once they see your strategy, they begin building traps. They anticipate, they resist, they unite against you. Machiavelli would never hand them a map. He would give the illusion of openness while protecting his true operations. He would broadcast a polished image, but the mechanisms behind it would remain invisible. Appear noble, act ruthlessly, show the results, never the process. Let them think you are resting while you are building in silence. By the time they realize what you are doing, you have already passed them. Control the feed, but guard the factory. Rule 5. Build a mask, then let it fracture. Perfection is forgettable. Flaws are addictive. A man who seems flawless inspires admiration, but not obsession. So you construct a mask, calm, intelligent, composed, powerful. And then, at a chosen moment, you allow it to crack. A sudden burst of vulnerability, a rare moment of rage, a carefully timed imperfection that feels real. Why? Because people chase what they cannot fully know. They are drawn not to the mask, but to the slip. They spend years wondering what lies behind it. Give them 90% of the story, then leave the final piece in shadow. That 10% becomes the hook that keeps you unforgettable. Appear virtuous, but reveal flashes of darkness. Let them glimpse the abyss, then close the curtain. You become unforgettable not because they saw the mask, but because they saw it slip. Rule 6. Say less than necessary, always. Words are dangerous when wasted. The more you speak, the more weakness you reveal. Explanations expose fear. Over-talking exposes insecurity. Validation-seeking exposes dependence. Machiavelli would not speak to be understood. He would speak to unsettle. His words would be precise, sharp, and minimal. One statement, delivered clean, followed by silence. That silence would echo louder than speeches. Why? Because silence is a mirror. In it, people project their doubts, their fears, their suspicions. They write entire stories in their heads while you remain motionless. You do not need to intimidate them. They will intimidate themselves with the possibilities of what you are thinking. The less you speak, the more powerful your words become. Use language like a blade, not a blanket. Then stop. Let silence complete the work. Rule 7. Blur the line between threat and ally. People crave certainty. They want to know who is safe and who is dangerous. They want to draw clear lines between friend and enemy. Machiavelli would never allow that comfort. He would compliment his rivals in public. He would share meals with enemies. He would defend someone he intended to remove. Why? Because clarity creates resistance. When they know you are against them, they prepare for war. But when they are unsure, they relax. And when they relax, they fall asleep. The best time to strike is when your opponent is resting. The lion terrifies wolves. The fox escapes traps. Machiavelli would be both. Kind in appearance, merciless in action. Warmth disarms. Neutrality confuses. By the time they recognize you as a threat, it is already too late. Rule 8. Make them feel safe before you take power. The easiest way to remove someone is not through conflict. It is through trust. If they see you as harmless, they will invite you closer. They will share their patterns, their secrets, their strategies. They will let you in. Machiavelli would study carefully. He would mirror their language. He would support their ideas. He would disagree gently, never enough to create resistance. He would let them feel as though they were leading him. And when the trust was solid, he would move fast, decisive, clean. By the time they felt betrayed, it was too late. Men believe what they need to hear. Show them what they want, say what they crave, and take what they never expected you to touch. Not through force, but through illusion. Not through battle, but through comfort. Rule 9. Make people dependent, then remove yourself. Dependence is invisible shackles. Machiavelli would not force people into submission. He would make himself useful. He would solve problems others could not. He would provide solutions they could not find elsewhere. Slowly, silently, he would become indispensable. Not through recognition, but through necessity. And once dependence was secure, he would withdraw. Not with drama, not with anger, just absence. Absence is more painful than attack. When someone is addicted to your presence, your sudden silence destroys them. They stumble without your support. They curse their own weakness. They spend years trying to fill the void you left behind. Machiavelli knew this truth. People are most fragile when they rely on what they believe will always remain. Remove it, and you shatter them without lifting a finger. Rule 10. Weaponize the favor. Most people give help to be liked. They want gratitude, recognition, or a return gift. Machiavelli would never see it that way. To him, a favor was not kindness, it was leverage. If he gave you something, he owned a piece of you. He would not demand repayment immediately. He would let the debt linger. He would let it grow heavier with time. The imbalance would gnaw at you. You would feel indebted, even when he never reminded you. And when the reminder came, subtle and quiet, remember that time. The weight of guilt would crush you. Favors become chains when left unpaid. Chains invisible, yet unbreakable. This is not generosity, this is ownership. Rule 11. Manufacture loyalty by letting them betray others for you. People think loyalty comes from admiration. It does not. It comes from compromise. When someone betrays in your direction, they become tied to you. Not because they love you, but because they invested in you with disloyalty. Machiavelli would never force betrayal. He would allow it. He would leave the door cracked open. A small comment, a small question, an opening to share something they should not, and they would step through willingly. They would say too much. They would reveal a weakness in someone else. They would gossip in search of approval. Now they are entangled. They cannot walk away because walking away would expose their own betrayal. They protect you to protect themselves. The more they compromise for you, the deeper they fall into your orbit. That is how loyalty is created, through complicity, not affection. Rule 12. Break alliances from the inside. Machiavelli was not interested in fighting groups head-on. He knew unity was difficult to defeat, so he would never attack the fortress directly. He would erode it from within. He would plant doubt quietly. He would whisper suspicion between allies. Have you noticed how she never defends you? I heard he said something about you. Subtle, never overt. Seeds, not accusations. And seeds grow. Soon the bond begins to weaken. Trust cracks. Fear of betrayal rises. And alliances collapse without a single open attack. The beauty of this tactic is that no one sees the destroyer. They destroy themselves. He did not break them. Their own doubt did. A group torn from within is far easier to conquer than a group attacked from the outside. Rule 13. Reflect their insecurities back at them. If you want control, you do not need force. You need to echo their doubts, not with harshness, not with insult, but with gentle recognition. You're brave, especially for someone who doesn't usually like the spotlight. You always manage to succeed even when people underestimate you. You're doing well, even if your confidence doesn't always show. These words do not wound. They confirm. They wrap their insecurity in soft approval. And in that moment, they feel seen. But being seen by you ties them to you. Now you are the one who understands them. Now you are the one who names their hidden fear. And that creates attachment. Threats trigger defenses, but insecurities open the door from the inside. Once you step in, they trust you more than anyone else. And that trust is power. Rule 14. Never be the one holding the knife. When betrayal happens, the executioner is remembered. The hand that swings the blade gains enemies. Machiavelli would never stain his own hands. He would orchestrate from the shadows. He would let someone else act while he remained untouchable. If someone needed to fall, he would nudge them towards self-destruction. If a rival needed to be cut out, he would make it look like their own allies chose it. If chaos was required, he would feed both sides and step back before the fire erupted. The result? He gained the benefit of the outcome without the blame for the act. People would see him not as the destroyer, but as the inevitable alternative. The masterstroke of Machiavelli is clean hands. He directs the game, but never appears as the player. Rule 15. Say nothing, and let them reveal everything. The most powerful man in any room is not the one who talks, it is the one who waits. Silence is not emptiness, it is a trap. Machiavelli would not rush to fill the air with his voice. He would let others choke on their need to speak. An insult, he would not respond. A question, he would smile and stay still. A provocation, he would blink and remain silent. The pressure of his silence would force others to keep talking. And the more they spoke, the more they exposed their fears, their plans, their insecurities. They would hand him everything without realizing it. Silence is deception's sharpest weapon. You do not need to demand the truth. You let them reveal it themselves. Rule 16. Be unpredictable, but only when it matters. Predictability is comfort. If they know your patterns, they can trap you. If they know your reactions, they can provoke you. If they know your boundaries, they can push past them. Machiavelli would never allow that certainty. He would not be erratic, but he would be unreadable. Sometimes forgiving, sometimes ruthless, sometimes silent, sometimes sharp, sometimes present, sometimes gone. Not random, but deliberate. Just enough unpredictability to make people hesitate. Because fear is born not from aggression, but from uncertainty. When they cannot predict you, they cannot prepare for you. And that hesitation is power. Men are led by love or fear, But fear is stronger when wrapped in mystery. The person they cannot calculate is the person they cannot control. Rule 17. Make your presence felt even in absence. True dominance does not require constant presence. It requires memory. Machiavelli would leave such an imprint that even when gone, he would remain. People would second-guess their choices because of what he might have said. They would doubt victories because of how he might have judged them. They would distrust others because they compared them to him. This is psychological branding, not based on content, but on impression. It is the shadow you leave in every room. When you are calm, controlled, and precise in presence, you echo in absence. Even silence becomes filled with your influence. He would not need to fire people. He would make his standard the one they could never escape. That is the ghost of power. When you are gone, but they still obey. Rule 18. Never threaten. Let fear do the work. A threat is cheap. It gives away intention. It forces the enemy to resist. Machiavelli would never say, "I'll destroy you." He would let them wonder if he might. Imagination does more damage than declaration. He would pause when lied to, and let silence punish. He would make one call and explain nothing. He would disappear from their world, leaving them to panic. This is psychological torment. They fear not what you say, but what you might do. Uncertainty grows into paranoia. Paranoia becomes obedience. When they fear possibilities, they serve you just to avoid finding out. Fear in the mind is stronger than force in the hand. Never show the weapon. Let them invent it. Rule 19. Delay your revenge until it becomes devastating. Quick retaliation is weakness. It shows you were provoked. It reveals that they set the tempo, not you. Machiavelli would never rush to strike back. He would wait. He would let the offense ripen. He would let the offender relax, believing they had escaped punishment. He would watch carefully, studying every weakness. And then, at the moment of greatest impact, he would act. Not loud, not messy, but final. Because revenge is not about anger. It is about timing. When you strike too soon, you waste your power. But when you strike late, the damage multiplies. They live in paranoia, never knowing when you will move. Their victories taste hollow, poisoned by fear of your silence. When the moment comes, your revenge is not punishment, it is annihilation. Rule 20. Become a system, not a man. A man can be removed. A system cannot. Machiavelli knew true power is not personal, it is structural. He would embed himself into every decision. He would make his thinking indispensable to every process. He would create methods others depended on. He would teach his way of operating until it became habit for those around him. That way, removing him would mean removing the foundation itself. You are not respected because they like you. You are respected because they cannot function without you. That is how legacies form, not by being remembered as a name, but by being embedded in systems. You stop being a man. You become the operating code. Rule 21. Make them afraid to speak your name. The final form of dominance is not recognition. It is haunting. Machiavelli would not trend on platforms. He would not chase attention. He would linger. He would become the shadow everyone feels but no one names. They would reference you indirectly. You know who I mean. Don't end up like him. Even mentioning your name would feel dangerous, like invoking something too heavy. That is power beyond presence. It is atmosphere. It is legacy. You do not win arguments. You alter the air people breathe. Your absence speaks louder than others' presence. Your silence is heavier than their noise. That is the endgame of control. Not fame, not credit, but fear carved into memory. What we've explored are not tricks, but timeless strategies. Machiavelli's shadow adapted to the modern age. Silence over noise, perception over truth, control over chaos. He would not seek attention. He would seek inevitability. And that is the lesson. True power is never visible until it is already complete. If this insight challenged the way you think, make sure to like this video. Subscribe to Psychology Insights for more explorations into the hidden mechanics of influence, power, and control. Because the game is still being played, and the ones who win are the ones who see it first.